All right, everybody, it's Big Daddy with another Big Daddy and Friends. And man, I'll tell you, I am so, I could say, excited, happy, and thrilled to have this next guest because we go back to 1986 when we first met as we were classmates at the University of Maryland playing football. And here we are in 2021, and we're still friends, still talking. And, you know, again, it's my pleasure and honor to have Scott Zolak. What's up, Scotty boy?
Daddy, it's good to see you again. I go all the way back to the Roy Rogers at the Student Union, man, with the bucket of chicken. Getting ready to put around freezing with our offensive line coach at the time. Yeah, we had a lot of fun down there in Maryland, man. It was the 80s were awesome. Getting recruited down there. Coming out of the state of Pennsylvania, it was me and Major Harris. We were the top two guys coming out. But I fell in love with University of Maryland, the campus, and St. Elmo's Fire was the movie that summer.
Yeah.
I wanted to be Rob Lowe on Frat Row. That's all I wanted to be. I wanted to be Billy. I wanted to be Billy the drug dealer down there. No, I'm just kidding.
It's funny because you mentioned our Roy Rogers and, Ralph Friedgen skit. And that was brought up to me about 3 months ago. And someone said to me, how did you feel when you got up there and did that? I said, well, I got to be honest with you. One, I was scared, but two, I was laughing because, I had you and Frank Namath and I forget who else was up there with us. And
Kevin Hudak.
Yeah, and Kevin Hudak. And it was so funny to, actually have those roast beef sandwiches and the fried chicken and everyone was going crazy laughing. And and I remember Coach Ross saying to me, Rich Salgado, with his accent.
He had a little lift. Yeah, he had a little lift.
A little lift. I'll tell you, you got thumb courage. And then being at room check at night, Coach Kavanaugh was doing the room check, and he said to me, he goes, I'll tell you, Big Daddy, you got a pair of balls on you like I've never seen anybody. You know what? I love it.
Yeah. Kevin was the guy who recruited me, and my favorite Friedgen story was when we were playing down at Duke and we were running out. He had to run.
Remember he fell?
He stepped in that hole, broke his ankle, and he went down.
Remember
crutches in for the game, and
they were yelling, trainer. John Sorna was trying to hold JJ.
Everybody was yelling to come back.
Leave him
shot by a sniper.
Oh, Coach, poor Ralph. But anyway, I'll tell you, it's it's funny how we talk about Maryland, then we go from Maryland. Now all of a sudden you're in the NFL, and here you are. I'm coming up to see you up there, and then I'm at the coldest game, the second coldest game I've ever been at, which was the playoff game against the Jaguars.
Oh, and God, yeah.
I'll never forget my other brother, Louie, and his friend drove up and left at halftime because they were too cold. Too cold.
So bad. I remember that. I remember that game. Yeah, it was the old stadium up there, the old Foxborough Stadium. The lights went out. Half the stadium went out. You couldn't even stand on the field at the time because it was so frozen. We didn't know what cleats to wear. Everybody's changing shoes. We ended up just going with basketball wet rats, those old ones with the nubs, those old Reebok and Nike ones. I don't know if you remember Apex back in the day. Apex,
yeah, that was a great company.
Apex was great because they had all the cool colors, all the great sideline jackets.
Yeah,
that Apex thing exploded, I think, with the Cowboys when they won in the late 90s. I used to see you at all the Super Bowls when you had all the gear. But, Apex was awesome. Zubaz was awesome. We got to bring those things back. Some of the cool things that got the NFL going back in the day. But, Buffalo made it popular. But that was a cold game, man. That's kind of what football got going here. I got drafted here in 91, fourth-round pick, and 2-14. Coach McPherson was the head coach at the time, former Syracuse head coach. And then Parcells took over and drafted Bledsoe number 1. And I was already here for 2 years. I ended up staying here for 8 years, which is unusual for a backup. Became very good friends with Drew, obviously. And the guy never went down till your boy Mo Lewis hit him on the sideline there and got our boy Tommy in there. I thought that son of a bitch was never going to get out of a game. Playing with pins in his fingers on his throwing hand. That's how tough this guy was. But football came back in the mid-'90s here, and it's been great ever since with Parcells and course, what Belichick and Brady have been able to do. And I'm fortunate enough to still be around it here, doing radio up here in Boston, and obviously calling games now. I'm finished my 7th year this past year calling games. Did 4 Super Bowls, so it's been one hell of a run here.
Well, it was funny. Obviously, we talk about that Jacksonville game. Then, you guys win, and all of a sudden you're going to a Super Bowl. And, I remember going out that night afterwards and celebrating in Boston like we ran for office. So those are days I never forget. And, hanging out with Dan Kraft and Andre Tippett and, seeing those. I mean, it was just like, it was kind of, you think about it then, I would say I would never be where I'm at now by not living those days. You got
to make your connection. I think that's with everything. You've done an unreal job, just surfing the league, going, you got to put in the time. And, the big thing about athletes and guys, if they see a face and you recognize the face and that face is there a lot, you tend to trust those type of people more than, those Johnny come latelys, but you got to put in the groundwork, and you've done that in your career, and that's what's impressive. Your relationships you build with guys like Strahan, and what you've been doing in Long Island, with the Big Daddy Golf Tournament, the football camps, that means a lot. That means a lot to guys that have been in the league and some of the retirees that come around. But it's like that. It's networking. Everything in this life is about networking. I forget what you studied in Maryland. I was in agricultural business. I don't use a damn thing that I learned in 5 years.
Recreation.
Yeah, I mean, the theory of coaching. Yeah.
Yeah.
You're successful what you do. I'm successful what I do. We didn't use anything we learned in school.
Hey, golf with Fred Funk.
Yeah, Freddie Funk. Yeah, we're golfing out there barefoot. Yeah, tons of fun.
Yeah, you know what? It's been like you said. It is all relationships. It's connections. I mean, I always tell people, look, the guys that were picking up socks and jocks and cleaning footballs, all of a sudden, 15, 20 years later, one guy's the vice president of the Browns, another guy's at Nike, another guy's at the NFL.
Right.
All those people advanced. And, it's like this sweatshirt that I'm wearing. My man, Eric Kennedy, he's the head equipment manager at Seattle. I've met Eric. We've been friends 20 years. He calls me mentor. Because when he came to New York, I took care of him, put him under my wing and ropes and all that. And I've been to Seattle to his place and all that. So I've logged the miles in and put in the time, but those things are so rewarding, and friendships, that never end,
Right. And that's stuff you never forget. I still keep in touch with some of the guys. You have a core group of guys, 6 or 8 of them that you play with. You're not going to stay friends with all 53 because you all come from all walks of life. But that's the great thing about Sundays, man. You walk down that tunnel and everybody comes together. That's why football is the greatest game. That's why these weekends we've been watching the playoffs and everything and rooting for old friends and acquaintances. We got to get back to normal around here because there's nothing better than that Super Bowl week, man. You know that. Yeah. That's when you do all your networking, man. I just feel bad for whatever 2 teams get into this thing because you're not going to get – I've been fortunate enough to play in one of them. And we, since I've been doing radio, we've been to about 12 or 13 of them. I used to go to them with my dad all the time, take him down for his birthday. I've been to like 25, 30 Super Bowls. There's nothing better than that week, man. The parties, just walking around and, the NFL experience and just seeing everybody. You see people for the first time maybe you haven't seen in 10, 15 years. We had Frank Wycheck down there as a true freshman in Maryland. He set the ACC record. I must have thrown 10 balls a game to him. I haven't seen Frank in 6 years since, he's playing, I'm playing. We're out of Super Bowl in San Diego in the Light District. I'm walking with my wife. A limo pulls up and it's Wycheck. He goes, come on, get in. And then we had one of the best nights of our life because, why? It's Super Bowl week. And that's when everybody comes together. But we got to get back to normal here soon.
Yeah, I mean, those there's that one picture that we have of me, you, Mickey C, and your dad. I mean, slamming them back. I mean, we were doing that every year. Every
year. Atlanta was great, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, obviously the Super Bowl this year, like you said, it's a shame because guys aren't going to be able to get the whole weekend like normal and whatnot. But obviously, I have a vested interest in my, my brother Jimmy Spoon. If they can get in, then I will be there. That's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed.
Yeah, and I mean it's tough, and it's tough for people to cover the league. And I feel bad for a lot of the beat writers that really grind because you can't really establish relationships if you're not in the locker room. These Zooms like we're doing now, WebEx stuff, I mean, they get annoying after a while.
Yeah.
You really don't get to know the player. I mean, that's how you develop that chemistry, and you get, some of the stuff off the record with guys. You develop relationships, and you can't do it. And, dealing with Coach Belichick up here, he loves his stuff like this. So it's going to be a delicate balance when we get out of this because I'm never going to want to deal with a media again. Keep them on Zoom. That way I can control my 5-minute interview and get the hell out of here. That's an advantage.
Well, I'll tell you, one of the interviews that I saw that had me dying laughing was when one of the guys asked him, well, you're signing all these backup quarterbacks and everything. And so, Bill, what are you thinking of doing? He goes, well, we don't need to sign anybody because we got Scott Zolak.
That's my man. I always joked with him, man. Even when Brady was hurt at the end and I started to do the media stuff, this is back in the early 2000s. I'm like, Bill, I haven't turned in my papers. He goes, I know. You know the offense? He goes, we're going with what we have. He goes, but I swear to God, an emergency, if something happens, they'll be shocked if we call. He hadn't said that in a while, though, but that was a nice little toss-up he gave me this year.
Yeah, this was recently he said it, and it was funny. The guy goes, well, Zolak's going to need a little time to warm his arm up. And Bill goes, don't worry, he'll be warm.
Shit, I'm 53. I ain't playing.
Yeah, no, I know, but it was just kind of funny to see that. And I'm like, oh, man, that's and he said it was such a straight face and that little grin that he always has.
Yeah.
It just was like, he reminds me of Jack Nicholson. That's who I relate him to. He reminds me of him like in The Joker because he has those one-liners and he's got that grin and that smile that just kind of makes you laugh.
Right. First part of The Shining too, before he loses his mind. Right.
Yeah.
The Overlook Hotel.
Yeah, exactly. So here's the one thing like I said, it's so fun for me to be on here with you because you know what? You have your national show, and I watch you. I put the DirecTV on. Oh wow, there's Zoe and Bertrand. Those are my boys. I've had the good fortune of being interviewed by you the last two Super Bowls down in the last two Super Bowls I've been on your show. So now there is no media this year, no media center, nothing. So like you said, it's so horrible for a lot of guys that they have their relationships, and that's how they make their living, getting in that whole week.
Right. That's a tough part for us too. We look forward to going away. Our company sells the hell out of that week, and we're really good because of like the relationships you've made. I made a lot of relationships throughout the league. Mm-hmm. And we have our same guests on. Like we love having you on. Dion comes on. We had fun when he picked me off twice. I beat the hell out of him on a 15-yard penalty. Goldberg was lifting me up. We tell all those stories back and forth.
Yeah. You
just can't do that now. The relationships like I have a Montana walking through. I could grab Joe and put him on because my dad coached Joe in high school. That's the stuff that you miss about this week that we're not going to be able to enjoy. So, but I mean, going back to about third, fourth week of the season, and I'm sure you've talked to your brother about it. We didn't know if they were going to get through a season. When the COVID stuff started to hit some teams, and you're not in a bubble, you don't know what you're doing. You're talking about extending the season, and should we push it back? Put the Super Bowl into March? All that stuff was being talked about. It's a credit to the league for them to be able to pull it off in 17 weeks. It really is. Yeah,
that's the conversation. You're right. Me and my brother, we would speak almost every night.
That's every week and day. Yeah, it's like, you don't know what it's.
And you're like, you don't know. One, you don't know what the next day brings. Two, you're getting tested every day. Everything you walk in the building, everyone has to go right. You can't go left, and you have to follow this and that. And it's just you got to give credit where it's due, especially like you said with the league and how each team's done what they've had to do to have the season go through. And, now get to the Super Bowl and get that over with. And then, obviously the week that also kills me is not having the combine, and
that's
the big one in regards to all networking because everyone from the league, from all the way down from the equipment managers to the general managers to Roger, everybody's there. And
there's 2 weeks in the off season.
Yep.
They're critical to the formation of your football team. Number one, it's the Senior Bowl. That's Senior Bowl week because GMs, real coaches coach those teams, and you get to see talent on talent with pads on. You don't see that at the combine. You get the test guys. And I know combine has changed over the years, but you got to be able to sit in front of somebody and talk to them because, you and I know each other, but if someone watches this, you can tell, like, okay, these guys are friends. They know each other. You can't do that through Zoom. You can't figure out if this is a player that I want to coach or this is a guy I want to bring into my organization. Is this guy a bad guy? Is there red flags? And you're not going to be able to do it again at the combine. That's a shame. Combine's awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, that's my brother. My brother and Jimmy and I would always look forward to that week because we'd get to hang out for a couple days, go to St. Elmo's, do the
Indy, man. Indy's awesome.
Yeah, so
eat shrimp. Let's go.
That's what do you call it? I'll tell you, that's about. I think that's one of the best places to have a Super Bowl because you can walk everywhere and get to anything, and
yep.
The weather.
We were lucky that year when the Patriots played the Giants. The weather was awesome. It was like in the mid 50s.
Yeah.
And everything was walkable. And Indy will get another one. They should.
Yeah, they should. Let me ask you this. Now let's talk a little Patriots real quick.
Sure.
The quarterback situation up there. Who do you think, or who would you like to see, if you had to make a choice?
Like that?
Yeah.
Jimmy Garoppolo. The way it was trending here, and Tommy won that one, no doubt about it. And a lot of it's going on in Green Bay. Same type of situation where they draft Jordan Love. You sort of know the Aaron's age and contract status, and that gave him a kick in the ass. And you look at the year Rodgers is having; it's his best year. Garoppolo did the same thing to Brady. We went through 3 Super Bowls after Jimmy Garoppolo was drafted because Bill thought, Tom's age and his contract status, it's better to get ready early. And the way Jimmy was trending for 4 years, he's a good player, really good player. I think the quickest fix. We're 7-9 this year. You have Buffalo on the ropes, Kansas City. You can play with any of these teams. Mm-hmm. We didn't have a quarterback. Cam Newton did what he could. You appreciate all the effort, but when you can't throw the football, you can't win at this level. You look at Buffalo and the success Josh Allen is having. You got to be able to be successful. You got to hit 35 plus touchdowns a year. And when you're only throwing 4 or 5, you're going to get your ass kicked every week. But I don't think Bill's in it to build it. Meaning, he's chasing Shula right now. Bill's 69 this year. I remember the documentary he did, Bill Belichick, A Football Life, and he said, I want to be Marv Levy coaching in my 70s. He's knocking on that door right now. But you're not going to catch Shula winning 4, 5, 6, 7 games a year. You got to do it the way, Tommy and Bill have done it for 10, 12. Brady went to what, 13 championship games when he was here, 13 in 20 years. 70% of the time you're playing to go to the Super Bowl. And that was the bar that was set here. So I think to fix that quickly, you need to get a guy that knows the system. It's great that McDaniels didn't get the Eagles job because now he's back. He'll have a hand in picking the quarterback. Plus, you lose Nick Caserio to the Texans. That whole Jack Easterby situation is ridiculous. Talk about a guy that, cheerleader, babysitter, and that guy's – you talk about guys, you're picking up socks and tape and all that garbage. That guy's a perfect example. Not a football guy, but having his hand down there and running the Texans, knowing which guy's ass to kiss and who's he got pictures on. It's crazy. But I think Jimmy's the quickest fix. You get Jimmy here, then you go out, sign guys like Chris Godwin or something, get a functional tight end, got a running game. Our defense is okay. Coaching's phenomenal, and we'll be all right.
So all that being said, is Brady the greatest Patriot of all time, do you think?
Come on. Yeah. It's they grotesquely mismanaged the ending of Tom here. Because, Tom made it quite clear several years ago, I'm going to play until my mid-40s. That whole method, TB12 method, it works. They didn't want to double down on it. And you just wonder who's kicking who's self in their ass right now. But, Robert's done an outstanding job building the brand here. And the best thing he does is allow Bill to make football decisions. Mm-hmm. And Robert was the middleman in this thing for 20 years. To think the type of egos to keep it rolling for that long, there's a shelf life to everything. And normally around 8, 7, 9 years, you sort of start getting sick of each other and, things tend to part. But, to keep this thing rolling, we don't win 6. We don't win 6 here if Bill and Tom aren't together. Maybe Tom wins 2, maybe Bill wins 3. But without each other, they're not winning 6 here.
So with that being said, in regards to Belichick, his son's not the heir apparent, right?
You never know. This is a crazy league. Look at these guys getting gigs around here. The fact that Dan Campbell's a head coach in the National Football League talking about biting off kneecaps, anybody can be a head coach. Nothing would surprise me.
You know, my brother and I have this conversation all the time. My brother's going into his, he'll be 50, I think, in a year. And he's put in a lot of time, a lot of years, and it took him a while to get where he's at. And then you see a guy that's, 31, 32 years old getting a head job. And then you got, it's always trending how you go from offense. Now defense is getting a little look now. And, it's weird how it's who do you know kind of league.
Yeah, it is. And the old school ones, Ron Rivera's and them, those guys are the defensive ones. And then you got the McVays, the Nagy's, Stefanski and these guys, sort of the hot young guys, LaFleur up in Green Bay. These guys are younger than some of the players that they're coaching. And that's tough for me to handle because I've had three Hall of Fame coaches in my years. I had Jimmy Johnson, my last year in Miami. I had Pete Carroll for a couple of years, 3 years, and I had Parcells. And all those guys commanded a room when they walked in. Pete, not so much after Parcells. When you have Parcells in the room, it's like walking on eggshells. He walks in, boom, everything stops. Everything's quiet. And then you get Pete, and I think some of us took advantage, not me, but some guys took advantage of Pete after Parcells because it was so difficult to play for Bill. And Jimmy, he tore that whistle. Second, Jimmy would speak up, man. Boy, shit, it would hit the fan, boy. Those guys commanded rooms when they walked in. I don't know how these 30, 31-year-olds command a room when you walk in. Like, who the hell's this guy? He doesn't even shave yet, So nothing would surprise me about anybody being a head coach in this league.
So Super Bowl's in Tampa this year. What's your favorite restaurant in Tampa?
Oh, Burns Steakhouse.
I knew exactly. It was so funny. I love that place. Kevin Weeks, he loves that place. We've had that chat a few dozen times, and it's funny you say that because
it's an old brothel, which is amazing. It's dark inside. And that's the best thing about traveling with the teams when we go on the road. We land, and about 6 of us get together on the broadcast team, and we go out to the best steakhouse in that city, and we got our spots. And Burns in Tampa is the best. You get the grizzled sirloin or ribeye, and they put the butter on top of it with the stuffed potato. And then they have a dessert room upstairs with phones. With little booths. And then, this is where all that stuff went down in the brothel, and a little history to it. But I tell you what, Buffalo gets a bad rap as a city. Our favorite steakhouse on the road is the Buffalo Chop House downtown. We go in there, we sit at the bar, and it's just great martinis, great drinks, great steaks. And you go back, pass out, go to bed, get up, and then it's NFL Sunday, and there's nothing better than that.
Yeah, no, Buffalo is a very what's the word I want to use?
It's weird because the whole city shuts down. We'll get in there at Saturday night, and nothing's open after 6. It's like a ghost town.
Yeah, it doesn't get credit though for the restaurants, and I've been to a few there. So, it's I tell my brother all the time. I said, listen, I know every time I come up there, I just want to get wings. Because I'm caught up into that whole.
Well, that's what's great is the whole place is competitive with the wings, so all the wings have to be good. Everybody's. What's the one you go to?
Anchor Bar. The Anchor Bar everybody knows about, but then when you mention it to someone up there, they're like, "Oh no, go to this place." It's going to Philly. You either go to Geno's or Pat.
Yeah, and I'm not. I eat Pat because I like the dirt meat.
And you know what? Everybody says, no, don't go to Geno's and Pat's. This is over commercialized.
John's.
Yeah, go here. And then, and you know what? Then you go and you're like, wow, man. I'll tell you a funny story. I was in Pittsburgh for the Stanley Cup party that Bill Guerin had, the general manager now of the Minnesota Wild. So I leave there and I drive home and I drive to Philly. After I had Permanis, because I wanted to compare Permanis to a cheesesteak. And I was like, oh, my God. I was like, there's something mentally wrong with me that I would do that, go out of the way and go a little bit south and then try Geno's and Pat's.
You got to have both. Right? You got to try both while you're there.
And then drive home. I'm like, oh, my God. That's why I lost weight. Because I'm like, I'm not doing that anymore.
You get the meat sweats.
Yeah. Exactly. So, hey, listen, Scott, I can't say thank you enough for being on with me. I've always had the good fortune of being on your shows. And
oh, hell yeah. We can do this for 3 hours, man. You're one of my good friends from the past. Love doing this. You're a football guy. I'm a football guy. There's nothing better sitting around and talking football, man.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I guess we're not going to see each other for a while. But you know what? The Big Daddy Youth Football Camp, the Big Daddy, you got to come in for the golf classic. We are definitely we're going to have that, and it's going to be COVID safe, COVID friendly, and a lot of big names will be there. So get your invite and tell Amy and everybody hello, and I love you, my man. You know that.
Good. Fire that helicopter up. Get my ass down there. I love you, buddy. Thanks for having me on.
All right, you got it, Zo. Take care, pal. Bye-bye.